As Europe suffers, three great kingdoms are emerging in West Africa: Mele, or Mali, Ghana, and Songhai. These were lands of enormous wealth, generated by their control of the trade routes across the Sahara and the abundance of their gold mines. The kingdoms were known for their benevolent governments and their great respect for learning.
Many of the stories of Africa are told here, the British Museum in London. This is where thousands of artifacts, collected, bought, and taken from the continent, ended up. When they were first discovered, objects from the ancient kingdoms of West Africa stunned the world. None more so than these extraordinary plaques. They came from what was once the Kingdom of Benin and are around 500 years old. I'll travel to modern-day Nigeria, where the Kingdom of Benin reached its height in the 16th century. And I'll reach even further back in time and explore a panoply of ancient cities and kingdoms in West Africa, founded many centuries before Benin. I'll look for evidence in what's now Mali of how ancient culture and technologies made Benin and its bronzes possible. The center of power of the Kingdom of Benin was Benin City. Today it's one of Nigeria's thriving cities, home to over 1 million Africans. The main circle in the center is dotted with statues, public art depicting Benin's history. For 600 years, until the late 19th century, it dominated this part of West Africa. These aren't carvings, they're 16th century casts in copper-rich alloys of brass and bronze. Over 900 plaques are thought to have been made. To produce each one, the artist would need to know how to make and fire a clay mold, and how to melt the metals to pour into it. It's an incredibly difficult skill to master. The combination of relatively sophisticated science and artistic accomplishment baffled most European 19th century observers. They couldn't believe that so-called primitives had been capable of producing work of the same standard as their European contemporaries. These amazing objects just didn't match the Europeans' view of West Africans. The questions were, where did they get the technology to develop this amazing bronze work?
Now, a lot of people say, well, why don't you talk about West Africa? The Dogons say they come out of Egypt. They science come out of Egypt.
And there are some symbols that seem to reoccur. The leopard.
That leopard skin, right, the leopard come out of the interior of Africa. Study it. Study the murals of ancient Egypt. All of the priests wore the leopard skin.
With a leopard at the Ober's feet and standard bearers at his side, it's like one of the Benin bronzes come to life.
Now, here we go. See Bess? See Bessie and the brothers still today are wearing the leopard skins. They still wearing it. This is proof positive that science came up out of Southern Africa. Here, you see right here, this is I. This is I, the king that came after Tutankhamun. See him with the leopard skin on? Just like our brothers in Southern Africa. Right now today, you got to study them zoo types. You got to study them zoo types. All of the zoo types of ancient Kemet are indigenous African animals. Now, one of them is not indigenous, okay? The main zoo type of the Asiatic was the camel. The main zoo type for the white man was the dog, flat out. And you can go study that. You can go right there to the Vatican City and you'll see Remulus and Romulus sucking on the titties of a she-wolf. And right here again, you see the Egyptian priest. You see that tail? You see that tail? No, that might be that queen, but that's dead. They got some that got the tail connected to it. But you see the leopard skin, which is sacred to the Egyptian priest.
The snake, the crocodile, so obviously they were very important. I want to find out what they mean and why they were so important to these people.
And you can see right there, even right with the Uranus. You see right here the cobra, and you see the vulture, Wajet, and the cobra deity, Wajet. What is that? I got to get on my science, family. But both of those, that's the goddess of